Hello everyone, this is 1-800-LAWYER-UP from FormalFocus.com, and welcome to episode 3, the Three Musketeers of episodes. This one is entitled The Law Life, so it's going to be another blog entry into my secret public diary. First things first, I am a lawyer. I crossed the bar in 2018. However, I made some wise stock market investments. I joined the 2 Common Club, so I no longer have to work. I'm quasi-retired. And according to the Law Society of Alberta, if you are inactive, which is what I am, you are unable to give out any legal advice whatsoever. So anything in this blog that could be seen or interpreted as any type of legal advice is strictly for entertainment purposes only, and please seek out an actively practicing lawyer in your area if you want legal advice. Now, I say that, and it seems like common sense. Like, I don't think there's any way in hell anyone would meet a fellow gamer with the gamer tag 1-800-LAWYER-UP and then kind of take his advice as gospel and go out into the world armed with that knowledge. So just be careful out there. It's for entertainment purposes only. Be safe, and yes, please seek a lawyer in your area who's actively practicing if you want legal advice. The other thing is, I only have one rule in this blog, which is it's completely unscripted. I only have 3 things in front of me on a piece of paper, 3 points. That's law friends, law professors, and law life. So other than that, I do not have a script that I'm reading off of. It is completely uncut. And after pondering what I'm going to say for maybe 3 to 4 minutes, I just hit record, and I don't re-record. I don't stop until the time that I set for myself, which is usually the length of the gameplay that's in the background that I never acknowledge, runs out. So, with that said, we all know the rules. It is episode 3 of my secret public diary, The Law Life. So in this blog entry, I'm going to be discussing kind of what was like the first day of law school like, the friends that you meet, the law professors, the classes, and then kind of your career, like how it goes. Because I know there are a lot of people out there who listened to my first secret public diary and just really wanted some more substance in terms of what my legal career was like. Maybe because personally they're maybe tangoing with the idea of becoming a lawyer, maybe writing the LSAT. It is a noble profession, and I'll get to that at the end. But it's the idea that anyone can kind of be it. It's not like med school where you've got to have at least a propensity towards bio or chemistry, any of those sciences. Literally anyone. If you've got a drama degree, you can write your LSAT. If you have a decent score, you can get in. I actually had 1 or 2 people in my cohort who were drama majors, and they actually did pretty well. There are people from philosophy, business. I came from criminology, which is psychology and sociology, so it's an entire different swath of people, and the opinions that they have, which are forged over years and years of their own particular discipline, was really special in a sense and unique. It kind of made the whole experience holistic, in my opinion, when kind of facing novel problems, and you ask their opinion on how to solve it. But yeah, first day of law school. So basically, we had a pre-orientation at the University of Alberta. Everyone kind of joins a Facebook group, and they set up an event where they rented out an entire kind of sports bar. It's like this massive, I'll probably post up a picture, I'll make a note of it. It's called Shanks, and they've got big screen monitors, bowling alley, and indoor mini golf course there. They've got a fully stocked bar, and it was open bar. A lot of people just got completely shit-faced, which is the best time to talk to someone because they're completely truthful and have no inhibitions or filter. But yeah, it was really cool. You got to meet some of the upper years, ask some questions, and it's funny. They say that the first people that you meet in law school are typically going to be your lifelong friends, and it kind of reminds me of Harry Potter and the Sorting Hat.
Better be Gryffindor!
So I was probably like a Ravenclaw or Gryffindor. I think like Ravenclaw was completely downplayed in the series. Those guys are badass, right? Really low key. But yeah, I mean, there are different houses. There's definitely like a Slytherin group. But the thing is, everyone was really nice. They understand that we all are kind of facing the same trials and tribulations in terms of classes, and instead of it was like everyone against each other, it was more like everyone together against like the law professors, and you know, you get to really know these people. I mean, if you really think about it, in the cohort system, you see the same faces every single day, Monday to Friday, sometimes on the weekends if there's like social events going on, and you spend like 8 hours per day, maybe like 6 days a week with these guys for 3 years straight. You know, I know I've got some first cousins, maybe even some like uncles and aunts that I haven't experienced life that much with. So these people truly become your family. Their, you know, wins become your wins. Their losses are your losses too as well. And what I mean is, like, the first people you meet on your first day are typically the people that end up being your lifelong friends. It's like any other party where you go out, you socialize, and you know, you have a drink in your hand and you go up to some people you don't know, you introduce yourself, and if you feel like you're not vibing on anything, then obviously you're just going to move on to someone else, you know, politely excuse yourself, and eventually you're going to land on someone who has similar interests as you and someone you can generally get along with, and those are kind of your ride or dies for the rest of the time. So it is kind of like Harry Potter, where you determine what your house is going to be and kind of who your go-tos are. So that's kind of like entering law school and stuff like that. And they've got a saying where, you know, law school is 3 years. So in the first year, they scare you to death. The second year, they work you to death. And then in the third year, they bore you to death. Just because, you know, first year, no one knows what they're doing. And, you know, the law professors understand that no one's going to know what they're supposed to be doing. But then in the second year, you kind of hit your stride, you know, how to kind of study for exams, how to read case law, what to look for. And you get to know the judges and kind of how they rule, like, you know, and, you know, people can start practicing out in the field. The University of Alberta had a really good program, Student Legal Services, where law students can actually meet real clients, especially if they had like a family law branch and a civil branch that were kind of lumped together answering phones, and then they had a different group of people doing criminal law who actually showed up in court and talked in front of judges, which was really cool. And then there are also people who would volunteer at ECLC, which is the Edmonton Community Legal Center, and it's not legal aid. It's kind of like people who do have money, they can survive, but they're not making enough money to the point where they can actually afford a lawyer. So, you know, somebody who's making like maybe $40,000 to $50,000 can get by, you know, pay all their bills and stuff. But when they've got to pay, you know, tens of thousands of dollars to a lawyer for a very complicated legal matter, then that would kind of put them below the poverty line. So that's where ECLC kind of fills the gap. And a lot of people during the summers would volunteer for them, and it was a great way to actually get some exposure to real clients. So that was really cool. The law professors are really cool. A lot of them are actively practicing lawyers themselves, and you know, they've seen some stuff. These people have been practicing usually for decades, and you know, they tell you things. They tell you you're not a civilian anymore.
Don't talk like one of them. You're not. Even if you'd like to be. To them, you're just a freak. Like me.
You're going to get relabeled as a lawyer, you know, similar to how characters in movies now are that character. You know, Robert Downey Jr. isn't Robert Downey Jr. anymore. He's Iron Man, right? Similar to lawyers too as well. You know, I'm not I'm not Iron Man, though. You know, hopefully I can get to that level, but you know, I'm no longer Matthew Blank, right? If I get into trouble and it's publicized in the media, the first thing they're going to say is Edmonton lawyer Matthew got into trouble, right? I'm no longer a civilian. I'm forever classified as lawyer, and It's kind of like that cross that you need to bear, right? And, the professors do a great job of teaching you what you need to do and preparing you for the basics of your articling year. So after law school, you graduate, you get your law degree, but you have to do a year of articling where you study under a practicing lawyer for an entire year, and during that year, you're handling, case files like you would as a lawyer, so it's like training wheels, but you're under someone else's insurance. And then during that time, you're also studying for your bar exams, which we call in CPLEDs in Canada. There are about a dozen of them, and after a year is up and you pass all your CPLEDs and your principal thinks you've done an amazing job and you'd be a great lawyer, then you get to cross the bar, which I covered in my first public diary, so I won't get into any more than that. But the actual law life can be a little scary at times, just because statistically speaking in Canada, lawyers are 6 times more likely towards depression and alcoholism, just because it's kind of like a lonely career.
Oh, you think darkness is your ally? You merely adopted the dark.
A lot of the time, you're coming out of law school and you've got at least maybe 50 to 100K worth of debt. And there's kind of this sense of urgency where, you want to work as hard as you can so that you can get more billables for, the firm that you're working for. And it's a rat race, right? There were times during my articles where I was working maybe 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. There were months where I would forget that the day, right? So like I'd be working for a month on end and then maybe get like a couple of days off, but that was usually just like sleeping the entire way through. It was honestly like a whirlwind, and it was kind of crazy in the sense that for any other job, you understand, like, I'm gonna clock in at this time and I'm gonna see these people and I'm gonna do this work. Depending on the type of law that you do, it can often be just kind of this black box, right? There are days where I've got certain tasks set that I want to accomplish, but when I actually get into the office, it's something completely different. There were days where I thought I was going to be, just drafting stuff easy in my office, just listening to Spotify in the background, and it turned out to be, being in morning chambers, afternoon chambers, being in specials, running like emergency EPOs, like emergency protection orders, because one of my clients had their kids abducted or something like that, crazy stuff. So that's why, you kind of wake up and there's already like a baseline of anxiety because you really don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, that's not true for every type of law, and this is the reason why, and this is another statistic too, like over 90% of people within the first 5 years practicing, after they cross the bar, they end up going from private work, which is like working for a private firm, hitting billables and all that craziness, to the public sphere, which is like government lawyers, which have more work-life balance, or just end up doing their own thing, over 90%, which is a crazy number when you think about it. So why in the world would people do 4 years of undergrad, write an obscenely difficult test, the LSAT, to get in, do another 3 years of post-secondary, and then a year of like crazy articles as a student? When you do pass, after about 5 years or so, the reason why people move on is because I think they reached a certain level of legal knowledge where it's kind of like, if you're new to, let's say, basketball, right? You don't know what's going on. After watching 5 seasons of basketball, you know who the teams are, who the players are, which teams have probabilities of winning. It's kind of like case law. People tell you, the facts of the case of their particular situation. You can tell automatically where they need to land. But the thing is, you become self-sufficient at that point. You can command kind of that big 6-figure salary. Then you can incorporate, there'll probably be another blog on that, why people incorporate professional corporations to give themselves tax breaks. But yeah, it is a noble profession. It is a grind, and the people who actually stick with it find it very rewarding and do make their surrounding world a better place. And it reminds me of a Shakespeare quote. It was a character that was inciting a riot who said, "Let's kill all the lawyers," and people thought that was funny because it's interpreted as, lawyers being scumbags and we kill them first because they deserve to die. When in fact, Shakespeare actually meant, let's kill all the lawyers because they're actually the only people that can stop us from successfully rioting and creating anarchy. So it is a noble profession, and a lot of times you are the first and last line of defense for someone who's in serious trouble. And there are a lot of worthy cases that kind of bring me back on a pro bono basis. But other than that, I'm happy being an investor, gaming, and making this content for you. So that is it. Thank you very much for listening, and I will see you next time.